What's up, everybody? Soul here with another Menace video for your viewing pleasure, and today we're going to try to take a look and analyze the expert AI behavior in Menace and get kind of a better understanding of how it works and what it's going to do, and it might help you in your gameplay. We're going to go step by step through a mission that I had completed and understand that I'm really up against it in this mission. It's thwart invasion. It's a mission. Of course, we're on the mission prep screen. We have a side objective of destroying an extra unit, which is a bombardier commando. And regardless of all of that, as you can see, there are a plethora of enemies coming at us, and I only have 4 units at my disposal. I do max out my cost. It is a perilous situation because my 2 arguably strongest units, Darby and Pike, are unavailable to me in this mission. And so Darby's injured. She's not doing so hot. She's available. I chose not to use her because of those debuffs from being injured. And then Pike, as you can't see, he's weary. So if I use him, he'll become exhausted, and then he'll really be out of commission for a little while. With that all said, I have went in with 4 units. We have Rewa. She's going to be in an APC. I can skip ahead. I'll show you some of the stuff. We got Carta, and she's going to be in there with a maxed out unit of 8. And she's running just that simple bar, crowbar, that is. And then we got Tech, and he's got not quite 8. I believe I got him on like 6 or so. But he's going to have the shotgun and the flamethrower. And then we got Jean Sai. She's our newest addition. She's with 4 squaddies, and she is going to be utilizing the crummy pirate pipe rifle, and the secondary she's got is a light machine gun. She's more or less just suppressing. And so I'll show you some of the stuff. We got Rio right here with the CMG-50 on that light trooper carrier, and then we got Jean Sai with that pipe rifle and that light chain gun, as you can see right there. And we got Tech. He's got the Stoneclad, which is phenomenal. I love the shotguns in this game. They're so good. And then he's got the flamethrower just for the extra boom, bam, and wow, and pop. So good. But with that all said, let's jump ahead into the battle. As you can see, before we get into that, I'm sorry, I'm skipping and getting ahead of myself. As you can see right here, we have a lot of cover and terrain right here. What we can expect is that the AI will want to use that terrain. It will absolutely want to. We can also expect that the AI is going to come at us. They're going to push and try to get at us. It is an invasion, and so we're anticipating that. If you want to check out this video, by the way, make sure you go check out my channel. I've got this video. It's part of my playthrough. But regardless, we're going to use this cover to our advantage. The hard orange in the mission prep basically means that it is solid. You cannot shoot through it. For the most part, that's accurate. There's going to be a few exceptions here and there where you kind of have like a half cover and a corner and things like that. But regardless, it's pretty solid. And so we're going to use that to our advantage. They can't shoot through that. We're going to force them into us through the 3 channels. They're going to want to use cover themselves. AI is very dependent on cover, the pirates at least, and so on. And so we're going to be utilizing that. And we're going to deny them vision and stay concealed until they find us, which they will be aggressive to find us, that is. And then once they find us, then the AI becomes basically all-knowing, in my opinion, and will do some pretty tricky stuff to stay hidden and try to force you into them. At that point of the match, I will switch tactics, and I will no longer be hiding and staying concealed, but I will use my Tech. I will use Tech, who's heavily armored, to bait the enemy into attacking him, so that we can do damage to those enemies, and then of course forcing them in bad positions to do so. The AI is a little predictable in that way, so without any further ado, let's take a look at it. Can't see nothing over here. Now I am gonna mute it so that I'm not talking twice in your speakers. And so as you can see right here, we have our double hard wall and then a straight channel through it. We've all seen this on the map. I love it. It's pretty great. But it's super duper solid. And we got Rewa posted in there. And then we got Tech on the back left. We got Carta on the back right. And then we got Jean Sai back here in trees and in cover. Because Jean Sai really does not want to take a hit. She's going to be suppressing last hitting if she can, but that's not our priority, and she's just going to be offering support. Our main damage dealers are Carta and Tech. It's on them. Carta staying back, Tech taking hits, stepping into the fray, and causing turmoil for the enemy. Now, this is what it looks like. We've denied a lot of vision. That's kind of the trade-off. It's because we want to force them into us. So I'm going to skip ahead. So I have now backed everyone up because I've decided I'd rather have vision while staying concealed and try to see what they're doing. And so sure enough, the enemy is coming. They're looking for us. As you can see, they're stepping in and looking for us. And here it is. Boom. As you can see, we have now lost concealment. They see Tech and they see Rewa. At this point of the game, in the match, the battle, I believe the AI will now act with confidence of knowing where you are at any given time. I'm not saying that's the case. That's just what I feel has been my experience in Expert dealing with AI. And so, with that said, I am now going to make my best effort to hit the enemy as hard as I can while I can, and then use Tech and at times Rewa to purposely bait attacks to give the enemy the impression that they have an opportunity. And so here we have three options. Carta can pick at this option on the far right. However, this option up here is tough and hard to hit. We might get it with Tech. But over here we have an enemy unit with low elements, as in there's very few in the squad. Those are prime targets. I want to take those out as quickly as possible because it's going to do the most damage for my bang for my buck, basically, in these encounters. It's basically taking out a unit at a much lower cost. And as you can see, part of our goal, or our main objective, is to destroy 70% of the enemy's forces. So no two ways about it. I have to take on all these troops. So I want the bang for buck, and I want it sooner rather than later, because then we start getting all the issues with the enemy's discipline and their morale and really messing with their heads. So really important stuff. So I'm going to hit the play button. We're going to take a look, keep moving forward. As you can see, I'm checking out my options. Always check your accuracy before you shoot. Take your time, hover over the enemy, see what it tells you. Of course, you got to understand your guns and what you have and try to make some decisions from there. Ideally, when you find the enemy, the next step is to fix, as in get them fixed in their position, and then you want to flank them at that point, as in you want to suppress them, and then you want to flank them, and then you want to, of course, finish them. But in this situation, we're not able to flank effectively. So we have to do our best to fix them and then just hammer them out and force them to step out of cover in this scenario and situation. With that said, as you can see, we took our first shots. I used Carta's mark ability to raise our accuracy against them. That's so huge in Expert. I can't stress it enough. 20% accuracy goes such a long way. We step forward with Tech and we spray them down with a shotgun. Guys, if you haven't messed with the shotgun, the Stoneclad, and so on, you're sleeping on something that's incredibly OP. We stepped out, we sprayed that unit down with Tech, and then we stepped back over, and now we're in the clear. Now we have this unit fixed, as in they are now stuck, and they can't really do anything because they've been suppressed. Now we're going, and we got the waiver, they are suppressed, we want them to be pinned down. It doesn't quite happen. But another thing that I will add on here in a second, or right now I should say, is that finishing the unit isn't necessary. If they flee, it's just as good. This is especially true in Expert. So as you saw right there, we got the pin marker from this unit and the fleeing marker from this unit. Because they only had three elements, they were much easier to get to that point. I mean, it took like next to nothing compared to some units sometimes. They now have one unit at half health, one element at half health. Once they are no longer pinned, they are going to flee. And it's reliable that they're going to flee because they have so few health, so few elements remaining. With that said, when you're firing against a larger unit and let's say you get them fleeing, but they still have half of their elements left in their squad, 5, 4, maybe even 3, you cannot rely on them to flee. We'll see that again. We'll see that here in a little bit. But what we've done is we've used Carta in her concealment, and we've railed them. We've done some good damage. I'm not really interested in touching that enemy anymore because the damage is done. The problem you have is that when they're no longer pinned, they give vision. Fortunately, they are pinned. They cannot see because of that cover, and so we are now concealed again. But remember, the enemy knows. That's the hard part. Though we are now concealed, the enemy is no longer going to step into us because of where we were and their knowledge of that. And as you can see, I'm going through my turns and rounds now, and nothing is transpiring. They are not stepping forward. They are not coming after us. They are not touching. And so they are no longer pinned. They are now just suppressed, but now tech can be seen. So I'm taking a chance with tech and stepping forward now and out to bait some shots and the enemy's attention. That is now my new tactic and goal at this point in honestly moving forward. Rewa can now be seen, so we're going to be a little more bold and step up with her as well. And of course, we're looking for opportunities. We're looking for shots. We don't want to be wasteful, but we do want to try to get at the enemy as best as possible and be aggressive. And so here they go. They're pivoting around, and they know that's our blind spot because the AI is all-knowing, and so they have jumped into that blind spot. We step over with Carta, and boom, we start railing. Now, this is a heavily armored unit, so we're not having the effect we might want, but I know I've got them there, and it's a high priority unit because it's somebody we need to eliminate, so I'm just going to go all in on them as best as possible. That unit pivots over to the side and honestly doesn't have a great vantage point on us. The enemy has another issue on their hands. They have so many units trying to get on the edge of our sight lines that they start to run out of spaces, and I think that's what forces them to make some mistakes as far as AI. I could be wrong here. So here we go, Carta. We acted first in the round with her, and we doubled down, and we wanted to make sure that unit was pinned. Now, unfortunately, this unit has now surprised me over here on the far left. They went from fleeing to wavering. Despite having one enemy element left at half health, they have committed to shooting. That is weird. But moving forward, we're going to keep going. We're going to spray this unit down with tech, just like we did last time. Now that unit is fleeing again on the far left. I want to ignore it. I really think they're going to flee. That's my goal. You never know. They jump in, and then they backtrack, because when they jump in, they didn't get sight, I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the AP. I don't know. But I love it. I absolutely love that they jumped in and then backtracked. And so we're now shooting from concealment there. Everybody is now concealed again. They were denied vision. Carta is standing in the trees. We're going to step over Rewa and spray. She can eat the counterattack because she's so heavily armored. We're going to back up again, and now the enemy has sight of her. They will start to pivot around and go for her, and that is perfectly fine. Carta is concealed. We have that back unit pinned. Basically, they're suppressed. Yeah, they're pinned. I don't know. Regardless, they're hurting, and they're wavering. We're going to start waylaying into this next unit because we want to get them gone. I'm sitting here deciding. I'm not sure which one I want to shoot, and honestly, both can be effective. Eliminating that unit is handy, but I think the bigger threat is the enemy with the HP. As you can see, they've moved over and they started pivoting over. We step over Rewa and we start spraying that first unit, and now they are completely pinned, and that is ideal for the finishing because we have fixed them, so to speak. We have Rewa back up again. And now we're ready with Carta to start spraying into these units, and we're kind of picking and shopping. Highly suggested, take your time, read your accuracy, and we're going to decide which one we want to kill the mostest. And so we decide on this one. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And sure enough, we get the pin, we get the wavering right away, first volley. Very, very nice stuff. They reposition and start to get out of dodge. That's perfectly fine. Now here, they're already wavering. Jean Sai is not going to move. She's going to hold that side because we don't want to give up vision. And so what we have done is we've effectively used two firm structures that deny quite a bit of sight lines and things like that to our advantage, and it does not create good flanking opportunities for them, because when they use this cover, they are forced to have to use longer range or to press us. And so this is more or less what we've done in this, and we're stepping over and using our sight lines and baiting the enemy into us. Now Tech is completely abandoning the left side. He's going to jump over and start doing some work on the right side now, because that's where the enemy has really started to kind of mobilize and push their way in. The goal of this is to hopefully get them to start coming down the left side again, while we can pick them off that way too. And Tech is honestly who I'm relying on, not only to take the damage, but to deal the damage. I want them to step in close so that he can deal with them. And the shotgun doesn't have crappy range. It's pretty decent, just so you know. It's phenomenal just for this kind of thing. And in a way, it sprays people down. It's crazy. As you can see, sure enough, they start moving in on the left side because they know. They know where we are. They think they're clever. They're going to try to go around us and get the flank. They're gone. That unit is now fleeing. Finally, they're out. And now Jean Sai can do some things, but we're going to act first because with Carta, because we've still got these units right here that are not in cover, which is phenomenal. Remember, they're forced to step out of the cover to try to get shots in on us. We have successfully baited them. So we hit this unit with the flamethrower. I love the flamethrower in this kind of scenario for one really big reason. That is, once you use it, it creates a fire tile. And so now when enemies step onto that fire tile, they're going to take damage for being there. So now you're punishing them for pushing in even more. And the AI, in my opinion, will still do it. They will still walk into fire to hurt you. They don't care about hurting themselves to hurt you because it's so important to them. I love it. Can't get enough of it. Continuing on, as you can see, we have a low element unit there. We didn't get a good volley on them. We step out of the way with Tech. It's unlucky, but we still did some decent damage, and they are pinned. We've got a decent amount going over there on the right. We've got this one unit stepped over here on the left, and we do have Jean Sai here. And so we're just going to take some shots and try to get them suppressed, get them fixed. And we managed to do so. It's phenomenal. The chain gun, I don't know if you know, it's a machine gun. It's not accurate. It has terrible rates of getting jammed, but it only costs 20 AP to use, and yeah, you can spray it quite a bit. So now we're getting all kinds of morale effects over here as we're finishing off these units and absolutely destroying and waylaying them, and this is exactly what you want. You have to force the enemy to come into effect and basically get hammered. Once you've done that and you start to basically tear at their discipline, their morale, it all starts to kind of waffle. It's a house of cards. And so that's what we've seen. We've seen multiple enemies losing their discipline, and that's the beauty of pirates, right? So we've got this first unit here that's pinned in the fire, and we're just kind of railing them, doing everything we can to hurt them. And we're happy to do so. We love it. Now, over here, you can see they're fleeing. I doubt they're gone. They're just stepping back. New round, morale adjusts. That's fine. We've now got this unit over here on the left. So what do we want to do? I'm considering moving Tech over there to finish him. And that's exactly what I've chosen to do. We don't get an accurate jump, and that's unlucky. But Tech is heavily armored. He's in that bombardiering commando armor. And so he can jetpack over there. He can take some shots. I'm not stressed. And so as you can see, this unit's wavering. They have some debuffs. They didn't get enough action points to do damage to Tech. They only got enough action points to pivot to try to react to Tech. And so there, we finish off that unit effectively. And so Rewa's doing a great job, just absolutely spraying and wearing them out. And then she's going to go back into that position. The enemy is gathered there. Believe you me, if I step into that fog of war, I will see tons of enemies. This is the gist of alternating left and right. As you can see, let's skip ahead in the battle a little bit. So we're zoomed in right here. As you can see, we can now see more of the map and more of the enemies. At this point, we've cleared quite a few. So now I want to be more aggressive. Tech is now moved up on the left, as has Gene Sai. We've got several enemies pinned there and all of that debris on the right. And now I'm going to use Rewa to start to move up the middle. In fact, let me fast forward just a little bit here. Here's the play. You see how many enemies we had at the edge of the fog of war waiting for us. That's fine, because we started to dig into their morale and mess them up. Now the rest of them honestly just kind of waffle. As you can see, I spray that one unit there. Sure, we get a suppress, we get them pinned, but really easily and for next to nothing. And then we instantly affect another unit. Tech is pushing up hard up the left because of their weakened morale state. He can do so comfortably. And as you can see, boom, more and more of them. This unit's full health, but it's wavering because we've already dug in. You really only need to get those first few units. The others, that's the downfall of the expert AI gathering, clustering up at the edge of the fog of war. Once you get a hold of one or two of their units, the house of cards falls on the morale, and you're able to really do some good damage. Does that mean you just rush into them at that point? No, don't do that. Continue to chip at them. But your attacks only become more and more effective from that point on. So now the enemy is fleeing, backtracking, trying to get out of the way, which is very normal, natural, and I'm being very aggressive with Tech. As you can see, we're getting multiple morales drops, even from units that have full HP. And that's because they are so close to each other. They have low discipline, they're pirates, and we can just absolutely rail them. This is the play. Now Carter steps up. She's going to dig into this unit and just waylay them, but they're already fleeing, as you can see. But I'm out to kill. I have to get 70% of them gone. Because they're full health, they're not going to actually flee. They're just going to reposition and backtrack and go into a wavering state and then come again. So I have to be aggressive while I can and step into them without being reckless. So I'm using Rewa as a shield, stepping forward, hitting them. And even Gene Sai, she's hanging really far back, but she's stepping forward and taking those shots and those hits. The one who's the most aggressive and kind of creating the chance in the flank at this point, sorry I hit the mic, is Tech. Tech is absolutely digging in, moving forward, trying to get around them, and the enemy is forced to curve out. And as we remember seeing on the deployment screen, there is no cover on the far right whatsoever. So once Tech gets that wide swing left, it's done. And because they're all wavering, they're all fleeing, we have 1 or 2 rounds to burn before we have to worry about them truly restructuring and counterattacking effectively. So as you can see right there, they're wavering. Remember, wavering, fleeing, lower action points, pin, you name it, lower stats, everything is phenomenal. There we go again. As you can see way up here in the trees at the very top, we got a reaction of a unit far away from these units we just railed right here. I'm telling you guys, that's the play. Deny the vision, force them into you, which of course, this is an invasion, so it's a slightly different strategy than what you would have if you were to be the aggressor yourself. But regardless, on invasions, in this scenario, the few versus many, that was the play. Deny them vision, force them to come at me in a way that where they don't get to utilize cover effectively unless they're incredibly long range, and then step out and hit them hard. Use your heavily armored units, in this case Rewa and Tech, to bait the enemy to react and move, and then hammer them for doing so. Focusing low element units first because they die more easily. Once you get the morale to drop on a unit or two or kill a unit or two, because the enemy clusters up so much on the edge of the fog of war, it literally is a domino effect, and you will have a heyday, a field day, so to speak, in destroying those units. Having a good time, having fun. As you can see, we completed the mission here in round 14. We only had 4 squads, and we went up against tons. How many did we go up against? Let me backtrack there. We had 13 squads coming at us, coming down the track, trying to get at us. And as you can see in these trucks that are parked here, they were coming hot and heavy. And so really, really fun, really, really cool. I absolutely love this strategy. I love all the strategies you deploy in different ones. If you're interested in seeing some different ones, let me know. This is how I suggest handling an invasion mission against pirates specifically, where they're being hyper aggressive and coming at you. Rogue Army is similar, but you don't get the same joy out of their lack of discipline that you do with pirates, but it's still a similar strategy. Bugs, totally different. Totally different. Bugs are nasty, they flood you, they do suffer from morale, but it's not the same way, and they can overwhelm you very quickly. So totally different there. But yeah, let me know, guys, what do you think? Get down in the comments, talk to me about it. Is this beneficial? Does this give you some insight? I know this is just kind of recorded and spoke on, so I hope that you don't mind that. I just kind of want to go on this because I see a lot of people posting online that they don't know what to do. They don't understand how this works, that works, and so hopefully this gives you some insight and helps you in your gameplay and allows you to find some success in this scenario, especially with an expert level AI. I will say I'm very proud of Overhyped Studios. One thing they did not do on their expert mode is make it to where the enemy just absolutely hammers you. I can't stand it when difficulty scales damage done to you and reduces damage done by you. I think that is honestly cheap, and they have not done that here, so it's really, really good. It is a tight, tough supply cost. It forces you to think more dynamically and to do more. It can be really tough. So hopefully this helps you in that way, and kudos to Overhyped Studios, big time. With that all said, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you think I'm worthy, leave me a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And yeah, huge shout out and thank you to our soldiers. You guys and gals are the ones that keep everything rolling, keep me going and the content flowing. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for your support. It really means the world to me. Until next time, guys, I will catch you later. Bye.